Okay, so I'm Alba and I've been coming here for a while, I think a 6-month period. And when I first got here, I was very, like, I had nothing to live for, and I was angry and stressed, and I didn't want to come because I tried so many things before, like everything. I've actually been in therapy since I was 16 and I'm now 50, and I've tried like all manner of therapies, from alternative things to, you know, clinical psychs and things like mainstream stuff, and I think that stuff helped me get through, but it never really solved my problem or had any kind of lasting internal change. And then I came here and I didn't, you know, I thought it was, I wasn't completely convinced, but I did notice my fear, because my practitioner, like, the first thing I did to him was like sort of suss him out to see how he was going to, if he could harm me, which was kind of weird, but that's how I sort of greeted the world. So everything was like, I was terrified of everyone in the world and everything in it, and I was constantly vigilant about being hurt, and it was just awful. So I kind of didn't want to leave the house much and all this kind of stuff, and I just persisted because I had nothing else really. And then I slowly got better. I did the first 8, and I've done quite a few things off the spa treatment, and the self-love thing has really changed me dramatically, I would say, to date. And now I have much to live for. My thoughts will be much healthier, whereas before I would, you know, just instantly go for the worst case scenario. Now I just don't, or I might for a bit, but I can easily change that. So I have a bright future. I don't want to drink all the time. I don't want to like slowly kill myself like I was doing before, you know. So
And Alba, why don't you tell us a little bit about the actual process itself? So what is it exactly that you have to do, and what's expected of you when you come to the Brain Wellness Spa?
I don't really have to do anything. I just have to rest, and I don't even have to, you know, stop thinking or any of that stuff. I just have to lie here and put headphones on, and that's it. And after that process, I feel a lot better. I definitely feel relieved. Like the first one, I was definitely more relieved, at the very least.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about your first session. So when you came in, obviously you were, a little bit skeptical, a little bit in fear, and always presuming that someone was going to hurt you. So and essentially you always had your back up. But we got through the first session on, and I did that with yourself, which was great. Do you remember what it felt like after we did the first session of recoding?
Well, because I was like, just a sense of relief, but it was, quite a significant sense of relief. It's like, to me, it was like being able to exhale, instead of being so sort of uptight and stressed and can hardly breathe. I was just like able to breathe out and just rest in my mind. And my mind was sort of, I call it like, I feel my mind is blank rather than like always thinking. It was just normal thoughts, just like mindfulness.
Yep.
Just living in the moment instead of being in the car and worried about how I'm going to pay bills and all that stuff, which I think everyone can relate to.
And I think that's a huge thing. So it's the difference between being distracted by all those thoughts that go on inside your head and the ability to actually be present in your life and appreciate the things around you. And I think it's pretty fair to say when you came in, you were pretty down, you were very depressed, and you were constantly living inside your head.
Yeah.
So since doing, say, the initial 8 sessions, the empowerment program, how do you feel like that's changed? How do you feel like your mind or your brain now works compared to before you came to the Brain Wellness Spa?
I think that it is able to let go of things. It's able to process things in a healthy way. The main thing is, instead of like reaching for a negative thought and really getting into that, really running with that, like I still do that stuff a little bit, but I can change it. Whereas before it felt like it was just an automatic thing. I had no control over it. Like my mind was just running my life, and it wasn't working out, and I couldn't. And I used to, like I'd try cognitive therapy, and I'd try and talk to myself, but that just became another stress.
Because you have to micromanage. Yeah. A lot of people find that because you've got to micromanage yourself with those techniques.
Oh my God, like it was just like constantly telling myself to not do this, which would make me do it more. Then I'd do it, then I'd feel bad, then it wouldn't work, then I'd get depressed, then I'd eat, then I'd drink, then I'd smoke cigarettes, and I'd just try and get out of my mind, or work too much, or even when I went to the gym, that became like a sort of form of punishment, like, and I was just crazy.
And it's an interesting word you said there, punishment, because we've spoken a little bit about this in as we've gone along with your treatment, that you are very aware that in the past you worked hard at punishing yourself.
Oh yeah.
So do you feel like that's changed now? Do you feel like you're being kinder to yourself in what you do?
Yeah, I just don't see that there's anything wrong with being who I am anymore, whereas before everything was wrong with me, and everything was my fault. So I had nowhere to go. I just wanted to slowly kill myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it consciously, because I've got a couple of dead parents that did that. So I didn't want to do that consciously, because, I can't it was just a thing in me that I can't repeat that, but I would definitely try and do it like slowly but surely.
Yep. Okay. Now, how would you say, you've done the empowerment program, the 8 steps, which is what most people come in and initially do.
Yes.
And you've done a few other things. I think you've done the self-esteem, and we're about to finish the Love Thyself program today. How do you feel like your life, any aspect of your life, how do you feel like it's changed now since you've gone through this program?
That I can cope with what life brings, or that I can cope with it. That's a big thing, that I can look after myself, I can take care of myself, I can eat properly, I can exercise, do all those things without having some kind of emotional upheaval and just go, oh, I can't cope, I'm just going to get drunk.
Yeah, so your resilience has been built for the stress that comes along.
Yeah, but it's like a healthy thing, like, because those things are pretty normal day-to-day life events that occur for everybody, whereas before I couldn't cope.
Yeah.
If I got in the car and there was no fuel, it was just like, oh my God, how am I going to, like, just little things, like, I didn't need an electrician, then that would be like, oh, how am I going to pay for it? And like, just little things, like, these are day-to-day things, whereas now I'm just like, I can cope with things.
And do you find that you're just getting on more with things because you're not being affected?
Yeah, but I have the energy to get on with it, and I'm not overwhelmed by it. I'm not. It's just I know that I can look after myself, which is big for me. Great.
So would you say overall, after coming to the Brain Wellness Spa, it's had a positive change on you and your mental health?
I think I believe, like, without being, dramatic, that it's changed my life.
Great.
Like, without a doubt.
Well, I'm very pleased that we've been able to do that for you. Now, what would you say, last of all, what would you say to people thinking about coming?
Well, I think they should give it a go and stick with it, and, like, if they're really in a bad way, do it twice a week to get this thing settled, so your brain can't sort of pull you back, and just commit to it and just do it, and just, like, be open, and, like, just don't suffer. We're here for a finite period of time. Like, does every day have to be a misery? Like, seriously, like, just, like, my God, the amount is, like, the money stuff, okay, fine, but I was spending money on things that were killing me, so I may as well spend money on something that's going to...
I was going to say. So do you feel like the money's been worth the money?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Great. Alrighty, and any last comments, Alba?
Well, my last comment is that after I finish doing the self-love thing, I'm going to do the grief and loss thing, and, if I feel that I'm starting to come unhinged or whatever, I'll just have top-ups. Like, I think this therapy is very effective.
Good.
That's what I think of it. And I'm not the type of person that... pretends to, I've tried a lot of stuff. Like I think I can speak with authority on that, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Alba, for that information.
Really.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you know what? We look forward to seeing you back here and continuing to work on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So do I.
Alrighty. Thanks, Alba.
Thanks.